Hey guys, coming at you tonight from back in the shipping and receiving office. But I was back here catching up on some work, and I think this YouTube thing's starting to pay off a little bit. We're getting calls from around the country from different people about the 375 Raptor, and that's great. We enjoy it. To call Dave, gentleman from Pennsylvania. Of course, for those that don't know, we're in Tennessee. Just a little small shop down in West Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that happens to have worked with this cartridge quite a lot. Um, and he said I feel bad for calling you because I'm really not in the place to buy anything. I'm trying to do do this, and this, and told me what he was trying to do. And I'm like, man, that's fine. Call me. I say it on just about every video. If we can help you, call us. Because this is a cartridge there's not huge lots of information out there on, and we've worked hard and diligent on creating information, good information. So the reason you create that, the reason that you want to do that, is so you can share it with others. So I'm going to hit on it tonight a little bit, throw some stuff out there for people. um, if you're thinking about the Raptor, maybe these things will help. When we talk about the case, how there are some cases being made with the 375 Raptor head stamp, and those are coming from Maker Cartridge. Um, I've dealt with some of them. Uh, it's my opinion, and understand something. I think the folks over at Maker are absolutely wonderful people and make some of the finest product available on the market. And I have nothing but the highest amount of respect. But I do feel like their brass needs to be fire formed. Once it's fire formed, seems like everything runs great. Um, if you're making your own, of course, you can do it from 308 or 358 Winchester um, by using a full length size, a 375 full length sizing die. Um, I don't mind telling people. I believe my first thing I do, whether I'm using once fired brass, whether I'm using brand new brass, is I anneal the brass. Then I run it through the full length sizer. Now I've tried this. I've tried using when I had 308 brass, using a like a 338 Federal, then going to 358 Winchester, and then going to 375 Raptor. So I'm not stretching the brass so much at each time. And then I've done it on a single stroke from 308 to 375. And if you anneal the brass and lube it properly, there's no need for the additional steps. You can go straight from 308 to 375, and of course, going from 358 to 375 is not a big deal. But you still want to anneal that, and you still want to properly lube the case it, and on the neck, especially inside and out. So you got to get that shoulder formed perfectly, because that's what you're headspacing off of. Other thing I get people asking a lot about is what powders. There's a lot of different powders out there you can use. My personal favorites are 2230 and H335. Accurate Arms 2230 or Hodgson H335. Um, I use 270 grain Hornady Spire Point or Interlock, whichever way they're printing the label these days, um, with a large rifle Magnum primer. I will tell you my load. I will tell you it is a maximum, in my opinion, it's a maximum load. Do not exceed it. Work up to it. Don't just start at this. And I use 44 grains of either one of the two powders, either 2230 or 335, behind that 270 grain Hornady. What's that do for me velocity wise? Well, on a 12-inch barrel, um, 10 shot average, or 10 shots averaged with the standard deviation of 4, uh, with 1980 feet a second. And that's producing roughly 2,351 pounds of kinetic energy. And I'll move it to a 16-inch barrel. Same criteria. All these are on, well, 16's on the same criteria. Uh, 10 shot average. Um, that one we only had a standard deviation of 2. Uh, give me 2,210 feet a second with muzzle energy of 2929. Now for the 18 and 20 inch, we've extrapolated it out from previously existing data. So I'm not going to say the 12 and 16 are exact. You can take that to the bank. If you've loaded it right, done what you should, that's going to be there. And I load my overall cartridge length to 270, even though most things you see call for 280. Seems like my rifle likes a little jump, likes to jump a little bit. And that rifle's shooting less than half MOA at 500, so if it wants to jump, I'm gonna let it jump. But at 18, extrapolating it out, you're running about 23, 25. So not, you're picking up 115 feet a second, roughly, from the 16. And you're getting a muzzle energy of about 32, 42. And if we extrapolate it on out for a 20-inch barrel, you should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,440 feet a second. With a muzzle energy of about 3570. When we did it, working through these, playing with them, shooting different guns, chronographing different things, we just kind of settled on the 16 because it seems like the most efficient. Now we do know that 16-inch, of a 16-inch gun with that 270 grain Hornady bullet, you can shoot through a nearly 500-pound bear lengthways. We've seen that happen.
Yep.
And it leaves quite the devastation in the middle. And still works well on small whitetail. So, I guess when we make a recommendation, we generally recommend 16-inch. I can tell you my personal rifles are all 16-inch or less. I'm currently working on a 10-inch pistol. So, kind of give you an idea about barrel lengths and velocities. Now we talk about bolt gun versus gas gun. When you do your load development for this, okay, this is where it gets interesting. With gas guns, we know headspace doesn't have to be as exact. It's kind of a suggestion. I know it may be a little tongue-in-cheek, but when the bolt comes back and bolt goes back, comes forward, strips the round out of the cartridge, and the AR-10 hammers it up into the chamber, it's moving the shoulder some. So you have a little bit of play. You have a little bit of forgiveness there with your headspace when you're shooting out of a semi-automatic. And depending on your chamber reamer, depending on who cuts your chambers, that kind of thing, you might have a little bit in a bolt gun, but not as much so. All of our chambers are cut very precise. The barrels that we use are made for us. I'll tell anybody they're made by Credit Precision. They're very, very precise. We hold those tolerances very tight, or Paul holds those tolerances very tight for us. So it's imperative when I'm doing my loading that I get the shoulder right and get the angle right so that it headspaces. Um, Therefore, I have a I have my own system. It's not the fastest by any means of doing it. Where when I'm making my brass, of course, I'll take my brass. I highly recommend not using Lake City or not using military brass. The difference in the thicknesses and the brass and other things just doesn't work the greatest. But I get my brass, I anneal it, I lubricate it, I run it through a full length sizing die, then I trim it. Once I've trimmed it, I have a rifle that we set up and the headspace is exceedingly tight. We use it to check the headspace by dropping in the chamber, see how the bolt goes, see if it's doing what it should, chamber check it. Once it passes that test, of course, then it goes down the line for primer, powder, bullet, and gets chamber checked again. But in my load development, I'm always checking that case. Two times I'm checking that case in the actual loading process. Once kind of in the middle and once at the end, making sure that it's sitting in that chamber like I want it to. Now that's if you're running a gas gun, do you need to do all that? Probably not. The gas gun's going to probably give you a little bit. It's going to give you a little more flexibility in that precision chamber. But of course, that's why we're staying under half MOA at 500 and getting the results accuracy wise that we get. So making your brass during your load development, you can look. There's a lot of powders out there that work. These have been the ones that we found out. The 2230 to H335 have been powders that we have found give us the velocity we're looking for. Because with that 270 grain bullet, I want to break into that 2200. Seems like I'm in the magic area there, and I'm getting that 2210 on a 16 inch with these. It's got the bullets. It leaves me room. I like to load. I use cup and core bullets to hunt with. By that I mean, like your Hornady Spire Points or your Sierra Pro Hunters or Game Kings. I don't have any problem with the solid copper bullets. They perform really well. We've shot some of the stuff from Maker at 100 and out to 400, and bullets are doing what they're supposed to do. There's no shooting them in 10% ballistic gel. There's no no doubt they perform. So load development, just use your best judgment. Now, the other question I get a lot is ready twist. What ready twist? My personal rifle runs 1 in 8. We do have a 1 in 6.5. I think it would be silly to go any further. You get to a point like the 8.6 Blackout where they're trying to do this 1 in 3. Well, hell, the only thing you can shoot in it is a solid copper bullet because it's ripping everything else apart in the barrel. And bullet parts are tearing up cans and everything else. It's just stupid. Um, there's no point in it. The You could do even with the blackout, you could back it off to 1 in 5, 1 in 6, and be fine. Uh, of course, we shoot 338 arc, so I despise the blackout. And before that, shot 338 Spectre. Before that, shot 338 Whisper. Um, and none of them ever needed a 1 in 3, but we're going to get off that. But I'm doing that to say, you get some people that even with the 375 now, they're talking about, let's go to a 1 in 5, let's go to a 1 in this. No, don't. It's pointless. You're limiting yourself. You're taking away from what the gun's capable of. You're not adding to. Anywhere from 1 in 6.5 to 1 in 8, even shooting 400 grain subs, you're fine. And you're still going to be able to get really, really, really respectable accuracy, and bullets are going to stay stable. Um, our Subsonic, for example, our favorite is using that 400 grain Maker hollow point, running 17 grains of 1680, which gives us 1048 off the average. And again, we got a real low SD of 2. That's on a 16 inch. But even when we go from 12 to 16, we're not seeing a lot of difference because it's so efficient that even at 12 you're burning. You're not talking about tons and tons of powder. You're talking about 17 grains of 1680, basically a Magnum pistol powder. It's a really great powder for loading subs on 300 blackout, or I would say if I go look at it, anything you want to load subs in, you could probably find a use for 1680. We're using 17 grains of 1680, which is pretty much burning up in 12 inches. 12, 30. So we get a little bit of difference, but not a huge amount. It's still nice and quiet. It's producing around 1,000 pounds of energy, and it's expanding like a big dog. It's getting huge. So you've got to, if you want the subsonic hunt, say whitetail deer or something with subsonic rounds, that's by far is the one to look at, because you're getting more muzzle energy than say a 44 Magnum pistol with more bullet weight, and a bullet that's designed to expand there, which is one of the things. The 375 Raptor covers so much territory that it's hard to find something it doesn't work well for. Lance and Andrea they hunt they're in Colorado. They're taking them to Colorado. We're hunting whitetail with them here. Hopefully, very, very soon, we'll be going on some hog hunts with them. And hopefully, maybe get down to Texas and take out an Aoudad, which would be fun. That's a big critter. That's a big critter. It'd be fun to hammer him. But we're always at WHMC. We're always happy to help. If we can help, we're here to help. And we stock different things for the 375. If you need brass, we can help you. It's probably not gonna be head stamped. We make the brass out of 308 or even 358, depending on what I got on hand. We try to keep bullets. anytime Hornady does a set, not Hornady, I'm sorry, Lee runs dies, we always try to buy a few sets of those and have them here. Um, just different things, different bullets that we have found that work well for it. Of course, we're always happy if we can answer a question or help you. We're happy to. We have pre-chambered barrels for the Savage small shank actions that work with the barrel nut, that are made by Credit Precision for us, that are really, really nice. And we're hoping to expand that so that we'll be able to offer them in maybe a few other manufacturers. Um, we're talking about that now. Just trying to work it into production and figure out what goes where and how many of this to make and how many of that to make is the challenge with that. But we're hoping for some of the other popular rifle platforms that we'll be able to soon have pre-chambered um, barrels available over the counter. So hopefully that'll be coming really soon. But anyway, guys, just kind of wanted to make this video to throw it out there and say, hey, we are doing the Raptor. We're here to help. If you need help, don't feel bad about picking up the phone and giving us a call, because we want to help you. And we want everybody that wants to enjoy this great cartridge to be able to do so, and to be able to do so safe. And, we've done a lot of the hard work, and we've done took a lot of the risk and those kind of things to come up with the information that we feel like is really solid. And it's proved out, the load I share with you, there's no telling. I would say I've safely shot 5,000, just myself.
At least.
Um, so we know it works. But anyway, like I said, just wanted to jump on and tell you guys, we're here to help. If you want to create a rifle, if you want to build a custom gun, if you've got a rifle at the house that you're thinking you might want to rebarrel, any of those kind of things, just give us a call. We're happy to help. Always happy to help. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody listening. I hope you got something out of tonight. I hope it was helpful to you. And as always, we ask that God bless America and God bless you.